Good morning, everybody. So, what's up, you love enthusiasts? Yes, you are. It's Marvin Kane here. I am your host on the channel of Love is Not Judgmental as we talk about the very intricate world of when it comes to relationships and all things like that. So, today we're delving into the often unspoken aspects of age gap relationships. You see, we say it all the time love knows no boundaries. But that doesn't mean that it's all sunshine and rainbows. Now, in this episode, we're going to explore the dark side of these relationships and why you might want to rethink before going on a blind date. So, strap in because we're about to reveal the unexpected truth and the twists and turns and the challenges that come from an age gap love story when it's about being blind, not knowing who you're about to meet. So, the mysterious nature of blind dates really is that usually something set up by well meaning friends or family members or maybe acquaintances. And they generally are very excited about this option that they found for you in your life. But what you're about to do is really step into the great unknown because you don't know this person. And guess what? They don't know you either. So you don't know anything about this person that you're about to meet. And while it may be exciting, it can also be a source of great anxiety. Not having any background information can lead to unforeseen complications. Why would anybody want to put themselves through anything like that? I have no idea. It's like venturing into uncharted territory, which can be both on one side, it can be exhilarating and nerve-wracking. But you know what I found from listening to people that when they do these blind dates, in many crazy cases, the person they were seeing was already seeing somebody else. They just took this chance because it was a recommendation from a friend. And then if they see all the whole time that you're together, they were just comparing you to what they have at home. That's heavily unfair. So before we go any further, if this is your first time on our channel, obviously you can see it's a deep subject. We have plenty. We have more. There's over 700 videos on our channel. But if this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe. Help the channel grow. And don't forget to recommend our channel to other people by sharing it. So like, subscribe, share, and definitely hit the notification bell. That way, when we put up additional videos in addition to our YouTube lives, you don't miss a beat. You don't miss a thing because it's all things relationship wise. But let's get back into this unpredictable chemistry of meeting someone for the first time. Now, one of the primary concerns when it comes to blind dates is it's unpredictable. I mean, you know it happens when you take vinegar and mix it with baking soda, right? It fizzes up, right? But what happens when you put an older man with a younger woman on a blind date? Are you serious? See, that's why I say this channel is not about the endorsement of age gap relationships. We just talk about age gap relationships. But can you imagine that? Can you imagine one of your friends saying, you know what, I got the perfect woman for you? And if you're not open to being with a woman the age of your daughter, that might be a very uncomfortable situation. And if you're a woman, being with a woman the age of your father, I mean, some people just have I mean, they're open-minded, but they still have concerns about relationships like that. To many people, that's a new aspect. I mean, it was interesting. I was listening to a video, a podcast yesterday, not even about this subject, but it's just interesting where the minds of people are, their minds are. And one young lady, about 13, was talking to her cousin who was a top YouTuber, and said, "Do you know what? They have these new things on YouTube that are not shorts. They're longer videos, and they actually go this way, wide instead of this way." And I just thought that was crazy, and so did the YouTuber when she was relating this experience. Some people just enter life at a certain door. So you just can't assume, and even if they did assume, come on, there's a lot of balance that has to go into making an age gap relationship work. But to add a blind date to it, that's a big challenge. So while you may have chatted briefly, because sometimes blind dates start with the telephone conversation, if that's not even the case, that's going to be a challenge. Sometimes people they kind of set you up and they give you these rules of a blind date that you can text, but you can't talk. They want you to hear the person's voice, and there's certain questions you can't ask. I mean, it's like crazy. I mean, why go through this stress when you know there's a huge chance it's not going to work out? Now, for some, it has. So we're not being all conclusive, saying it will never work out. We're just saying, why would you roll the dice that way? Why would you gamble? Right? Now, just because you have a nice chat with a person doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to transmit into the greatest love story ever and that you're going to have great chemistry. See, meeting someone without prior interaction can sometimes lead to an awkward and a very uncomfortable situation. You might learn things about yourself in that instant that you and your date don't have the kind of chemistry that you expected, and navigating this awkwardness can be challenging. I mean, can you imagine making a discovery for the first time? Maybe you really don't like short men. Maybe you really don't like women that wear eyelashes. I mean, you might discover some things looking at this person, and you'll be like, a lot of people go, I will never date a short man again. I will never date a woman with eyelashes. You start to come up with your own prejudices that simply don't apply to every person that you meet. So these misaligned expectations, these blind dates, they often come with high expectations because you hoping the entire time you sitting there hoping, hoping, hoping. And you might have heard great things about your date. They might have built this up. Oh, this is a nice guy. Let me tell you, he runs his own business. He's got a nice house. He's got a nice car. He was married before, but it wasn't because of him that the relationship ended. He would have still stayed with the woman because he's kind of a very committed man. And the people tell you these stories, but these are the fascinations that they have. You got to also think about who is the person recommending you to be with this person you have no clue about. Maybe it's a colleague of theirs, a workmate. Maybe it's a family member of theirs. Maybe you just met this person that wants to put you on a date with this other person. See, just because you hear great things, it's great things that they're describing, but that's a one-sided story. Sometimes you just have to experience people on your own. The reality may not show that you're a match. It's just all hype. And this mismatch and this mix match, I can't even say the word, and expectations, it can lead to disappointments and some serious frustration. So you might be envisioning a fantastic connection, but sometimes it's just not there. And don't be the type of person that tries to make something broken work. If it's broken, some things just can't be fixed. So when you're dealing with this awkwardness, these moments are practically inevitable on a blind date. Without any prior connection or shared experiences, it can be challenging to break the ice and create a comfortable atmosphere. I've heard of people on these type of dates, and we say, "Well, what did you talk about?" Nothing. You just literally sat there and looked at each other. Yeah, I didn't like her, or she says she didn't like him, and that person may have spoken and said a couple of words, and then they got the message, and they just sat there and ate the food. And the guy being the guy, he says, I'll pay for it. And sometimes the woman said she would pay for the meal. And then they just went their separate ways and went back and they wanted to beat up this person and put them together. So starting a conversation from scratch without any common ground, unless you are a natural born icebreaker or a natural born talker, that's a very difficult thing. It's awkward. And you want to be graceful when you handle these things, but it requires a lot of patience and a good bit of social skills. So if you're the type of person that you meet someone that's shy and this is your first time, if you did it the other way, where you gradually maybe talked on the phone, maybe did some video chatting, even in your local communities, and you got to see the person and they got to see you, and now there's no expectation about what you look like. And of course, no matter what you look like on camera, you look a lot better in person, um, unless people are using those filters. So, and hopefully they're not when they're meeting you. And it's unfortunate for men sometimes because when we meet a woman by picture, a lot of times, that makeup changes as a routine for women. So what you may look like in the picture, and then we see you with a different set of makeup on, we don't even recognize you. Now, I have a friend, well, she's a friend now, and I can remember meeting her the first time. I remember meeting her. It's like, okay, not somebody I was interested in romantically, but I just remember meeting her. And I probably met her on 7 occasions after that. And each of those 7 additional occasions, I didn't recognize her because her hair was different, her makeup was different. It was just, she seemed like a different person, but she kept talking to me because men, our appearance pretty much stays the same. And it wasn't until I realized that this was the same woman that I have seen every 3 months and then 6 months at certain events. And I was like, what? What? Wow. I mean, it was crazy. So it can happen that way. And that's why there's safety concerns that go both ways. See, safety should always be a priority when it comes to dating. People look different, people act different. Personalities, you can generally feel out a personality, but that's a personal ability that everybody doesn't have. So, meeting someone you know very little about, it carries an inherent risk. Maybe even the person that recommended this individual for you, how well do they know them? I mean, how many people do you think, how many women do you think ever went out on a date with an ex murderer or a serial killer? Unfortunately, many have, and that was the last date that they had. I mean, can you imagine this? I think Ted Bundy, one of those famous serial killers, they were sent out on a blind date. And sometimes the crazy person like that protects the person they're with for a while they're doing all these horrible things to other people outside. So there's a precaution, there's a safety precaution. I mean, especially today. Such a meeting, you want to have it, if you have it, at least do it in a public place, someplace that's well lit, lots of people around, informing your friends about your plan. Never do these things without letting people know, as if that makes a difference, because we hear these horror stories all the time where men come up missing and women come up missing, and people knew where they were going, they knew what they were doing. So erring on the side of caution, be like, I don't do blind dates. That might be the best thing for you. Oh, you're going to be missing out. You know what? I'm not missing out what I don't know. Do you know? And then you can just kind of turn around on. Do you know that person's favorite color? I don't know. I guess it's green. Why you say green? Because it's car green. That doesn't mean it's his favorite color. That just means that was the only car in the lot, and that's why he purchased that car. So if something doesn't feel right, always remember you can leave. This is your life. These are your choices. These are your personal preferences. You've got the right to leave, to skedaddle, to get out of there. Now imagine this on an age gap relationship. A younger woman with an older man that's got more power than she has and resources that she might have. Come on, let's be real. Why put yourself through something like this? It just does. I mean, these are my opinions, of course. People get to do what they want to do, but it just seems so much more reasonable to wait till you know a person at a certain level before you actually extend your time that way. Because time is precious. Time is one of those things that you simply cannot get back once you use it up. So blind dates can sometimes feel like time is draining you, your energy is draining you. If the chemistry isn't there, come on, imagine. Let's say everything is safe. They say everything is perfectly fine. The chemistry is not there though. Do you know how much energy you're going to use trying to get to know this person, especially if they're not a talker? They're going to wear you down. See, and it's going to start making the situation seem very uncomfortable, not just for you, but for them also. So it can leave you feeling like, look, my time, my valuable time has just been wasted, and I am emotionally drained. So preparing for a date, come on, all the things you do, you're going out to meet somebody you've never heard of, you don't know. All you know is the first name. They wouldn't even give you the last name. Her name is, you know, Joy. And, all you know about him is his name is Marvin. That's all you know. How can you build a face on that? I mean, it's just a challenge. So investing time into conversations with somebody that you can clearly see there's no future with, it's draining. It's just gonna like lead to nothing. And what you want is relationships that lead to meaningful connections. The pressure that you now have to impress. I mean, this preparation. The guys may put on their nice suit. Some guys want to go with a tie. Some guys want to go with like a mock turtleneck if it's the fall season, or they just want to be casual with a nice T-shirt. That might not be what she's expecting because now she's got all dressed up. She's got a nice dress on. She's looking nice. She's got a flower. She got a flower in her hair. She got her hair done. She got her nails done. And you come out in a T-shirt. See, you're already a mixed match. See, all that she went through to look nice for you, because women like to do that. And you out there looking like, you just left Walmart, picked up a couple of things, and you like, oh, by the way, I got this date, and you just come on now. It's so disrespectful. You might feel the need to present yourself in a better way, but that first impression, that's a lasting impression. Now, if you do it wrong, you can create anxiety for yourself, but see, also you might create anxiety for the other person. So you always, if you go in that direction, at least dress to impress, as the expression goes. Be your authentic self, but for this moment, add a little spice to your authenticity, right? So that the experience can be one that's pleasurable for both of you. So the expectation to make a great first impression, look, this is overwhelming. Will they like me? Will she like me? I mean, you go through all this designs of failure and successes in your head, potentially leading to you being nervous. And when people are nervous, they sometimes make the worst types of judgment calls. So always anticipate too a reality check that there's a disappointment factor that can come through in blind dates. In many cases, they do lead to disappointment, and that isn't necessarily because the date is a bad person. It's just you guys have no connection. You have no connection. And I've heard of cases and seen cases where people didn't have a connection that day, but they got back together years later. And guess what? It worked out. I've seen that. I've seen that. So it's about managing your own emotions and handling disappointments gracefully. A disappointment now does not mean a disappointment forever. I mean, you might really like this guy. Maybe you never thought about an age gap relationship before, but now that you sat here and you reasonably got to know this man at a certain level, you might actually like him. And this guy may actually like you. He's probably never thought of an age gap relationship before, but now that he's got to know you a little bit better, but you still are uncomfortable about the connection. So maybe he'll say something like this because he thinks he's supposed to. Well, I've got daughters your age. I've never been in a relationship like this. I am kind of flattered to be sitting here with you, but I really don't think this is going to work out. See, maybe it says something like that. But guess what? Men never forget. Never, never forget. You will be in the mind of that man for days, weeks, months, maybe years. And he'll always think about what he may have had, especially if he doesn't have another relationship going on. Might call you up one day and be like, hey, I guess who this is? Oh my gosh, how have you been? I mean, it's just that excitement that comes in, but the disappointment is a reality. And the other thing is compatibility plays a whole huge place. It's a big role. It's a crucial factor to make any relationship work. Blind dates by nature do not allow you to have a thorough assessment of the compatibility factor. So you might share some things in common. You might have some interests. You might have some values, but you might ultimately just be a mismatch. So the uncertainty that surrounds compatibility, the law of compatibility, can make the dating experience very complicated. So taking your time It's an important factor. It's an important feature. The final piece of the puzzle is that the importance of taking your time when it comes to dating. That's what you want to do. There's no need to rush into a blind date. I mean, this sometimes leads to a very unsatisfactory experience. The results, the statistics, I don't know what the statistics are. I didn't look at statistics. I don't even know if they are statistics. I just know statistics often lie. I don't like statistics. But just look around the people that you know that are having successful relationships and ask that amazing question. How did you guys meet? Ask them, because it's crucial to allow relationships to develop naturally. But to go on a blind date, to rush on one where there is no friendship developed, the blind date is for one person, one purpose, bringing you guys together for a lifelong expectancy. See, no friendship there. Maybe you can become friends later or acquaintances later. But starting relationships at that level, that's like instead of starting school at grade one, you decided to skip ahead and start in the seventh grade. There's so many steps to developing a good relationship that you've already missed. So building meaningful connections, it takes time. You know this. You must be patient. The effort that you put into it, this is essential to remember that it's okay to take things slow and not rush into them. Anything that happens too fast usually ends in a disaster. You need to have a good foundation. You need to have a good friendship. So in conclusion, while blind dates can be thrilling, exciting, and sometimes lead to great connections, they come with a cost. They come with their own set of challenges and uncertainties. And if you're in an age gap relationship or you're being forced into one because of a blind date, listen, you're going to have to turn this thing around and approach it completely differently, because blind dating with caution is a good thing to do, but you must set very realistic expectations. Prioritize your safety and emotional well being. Every date is going to lead to a lasting connection. So keep trying, don't quit. So, yes, this is us unveiling the very dark side of age gap relationships. It can be tricky, we understand, but that's just the nature of life. Life is a journey, it takes time, it's not a sprint. So, as long as you take your time, you're going to do quite well. So that's all we wanted to talk with you about today. We want to thank you again for joining us on our YouTube Live. I am your host, your guide. This is Marvin Kane on Love is Not Judgmental. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another exciting discussion about relationships. So we want to thank you for your time, and always remember this. Definitely remember this. You guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you another time tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time